Hi there, this is me. You're looking at my design. Like, this is my design, the blueprint of how my body processes energy from, like, the stars, man. I mean, I know it sounds so woo woo. I know. I mean, I was like really judgy of this. Like, the same way I judged astrology or numerology, and now, of course, I find value in those tools. And human design is a tool, just like Myers Briggs, Enneagram. It's a system that we can use to see ourselves. It's a mirror, and for me, it's been the most valuable mirror um, to be able to kind of get a to find language to describe how I work. I mean, that I think has been valuable the most valuable piece of information, I guess, that I've received from this relationship that I have now with human design and this system that is super esoteric. It is woo woo. You have to let go a bit and just open to the possibility that there's truth in all of these things, that there's some truth in it. And I think if we allow that possibility, if we allow room for truth in many things, we can get value from those things. And I have definitely received a lot of value professionally and personally from the information in my chart, in my blueprint, in my innate human design. And so, you know, of course, it brings up all sorts of things. Like, if you don't believe that humans are designed, like if you have an inherent belief that there is no design to humanity, that there's not a higher order to our existence, then, maybe human design isn't for you. But if you have something in your belief system that says that there is something greater than us as humanity, yeah, if you think that there is some sort of divine creation or higher knowledge, a higher order of consciousness, that we came from somewhere, and if you believe that we could be like so uniquely designed, I think that is something I've always innately believed, um, even as I struggled with mainstream religion and the really fundamental Christianity, those belief systems that I was raised with. Despite all of those things that I ultimately struggled with, um, I found human design after decades of struggle with religion, because I thought it was the only uh, system of understanding ourselves that we had. And I didn't realize that there were many, 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 many other lenses that we can use to look at ourselves as human beings. And for me, human design really clicked, and it really resonated with me, and it felt like, of course, like it felt like such relief in understanding myself and having language, like I said, to just be able to explain um, just my nature, my human nature. And I realized that, as human beings, we have a lot of things in common. We're alike in a lot of ways, but we're also like extremely diverse and really different. And I think human design also speaks to that. It speaks to our like infinite uniqueness. And there's no way we could ever be identical. And so, even within like the confines, constraints of this system, there's like a really extreme possibility of diversity. So you have like It is the yin and yang. It is like both of these things existing together. It is like the mechanics of our humanity and our vast uniqueness in these charts. And it is a lot. It's like super overwhelming. When I first found my chart, I was like, oh no, like this is too much. And of course, like your mind, like all of this up here, your mental energy centers just go wild with the information. And there's so many layers to figure out and like to mentally try to define and understand. And like, and you can see I have an openness in my head center. I'm going to talk about my chart because I think I can speak to it. But I'm going to use my chart as a roadmap to talk about a human design. It's a lot easier to talk about my own chart because I feel like now, after being in this unique, interesting experiment of human design, I have a greater understanding of myself and of my design. And so, and now obviously I have an understanding of other people's designs as well. When I can see their charts, I feel like I can see them in a more multi-layered, multi-dimensional way. So that's another way that human design, I think, has helped me. It's helped me understand myself, be able to see my nature, my design in my life. I'm able to witness it now through this lens, and I'm able to sort of see others through the lens of their own unique design, and it helps me understand why people are the way they are and why we're different. And yeah, so it's just been vastly impactful for me and helpful, and especially as I've been navigating my own work and worth in the world, and trying to create and creating a new way of working in the world. This has been a big influence on how I am shaping the way I am starting to work now and how I want to continue to work in my life going forward. After spending 20 years working in a way that was not sustainable for me or for my design, I realized that during a time when, I think, before I even met human design, before I even knew what human design was, I knew I was burning out at work. I knew that I couldn't keep working that way. It didn't feel correct for me, even before I knew why it didn't feel correct for me. And then when I found human design, I was like, oh wow, it just makes so much sense now why I was burning out in this corporate job and why I couldn't climb the ladder. I couldn't seem to work the way my friends were working and the way I saw other people in the corporate world working. I just didn't feel that same way about work. And then I found human design, and it was really overwhelming at first, and I kind of rejected it. I found it, I was really fascinated. Mentally, I was absorbed in it for months. And I did start experimenting, and I do think that was the start of my experiment. And it was around 2012, and it was a unique time in my life personally and professionally. I was still working in a corporate job, but it was also 2 years into my physical, social, medical transition from female to male, and navigating relationships and my family, and coming out in a corporate job where I had been for several years, and I had been climbing the ladder as best I could, but I was working 40, 50 hours a week and really burning out professionally. I knew that I didn't want to continue working in a corporate job forever, but I didn't know how. I had tried starting my own business before and failed miserably, but that was due to a lot of personal conflict and a lot of drama and trauma that was constantly being stirred up in my life, and my friends called me like a vortex of chaos during that time. It was really intense, and it was really a transformative time for me personally. And I had this spiritual awakening, and I started exploring myself on more multi-dimensional layers. I was really interested in, I was in therapy, and I was transitioning, and I was really introspective. And so I found human design, and I was like, oh, interesting. I'm a manifester. I'm an ego manifester, and I was super triggered by that, by the language of it, and I hated my design. I really, I mean, I was really conditioned to be a generator. I wanted to be a generator. I was working like a generator, and I felt like I should be a generator. I should be able to generate an income, you know. And I was really trying to just work and work, and I was, just really lost in the muck of my conditioning. Now I see that that's what it was. And then this awareness happened, and slowly, people describe it to an onion, like peeling back the layers of an onion, and that's definitely what it has been. And this process of using human design as this roadmap of understanding not just myself physically within my body. I think that came at a time also where I was open to being in my body for the first time, since starting transition and finally starting to feel comfortable in my physical body for the first time, maybe ever, at least since puberty. I was really finally feeling comfortable, like coming back into my body and recreating a relationship with my body, with my actual physical body. And oh, it's starting to storm. Okay. Anyway, so who knew it was going to turn into this like ramble? Okay, back to human design. I think I met it at the exact right time, because I could actually start, like, I had also had this sort of spiritual awakening, and so I was sort of aware of my chakra system, and then, but I was also thinking, like, but there's got to be more than just, these 8 chakras. And then, of course, I knew we had chakras outside. We have chakras outside of our body, but within our body, I thought, it's a bit more complex than that. And then I discovered the meridian system, which felt right. And that's what's so amazing about human design is it's the synthesis of, the chakra system and Kabbalah, tree of life, the neutrinos, quantum physics, and of course astrology, because the planetary alignments are. And it's so funny. I used to think about this as a kid, thinking about like the stars as like combinations that create us, and I always thought of us more like clocks, and as the stars turned as we were born. Obviously, astrology is like about the position of the stars when we're born, and human design is that too, because through those stars, through those planets, through the sun and the moon, and their nodes, we receive neutrinos, which are like real things, even though we don't see them, but where they're like pouring through us every day, and they're pouring through other planets, and then coming straight to us. And so when we're born, like, that imprint is what creates this design. And it's not just when we're born, which is the personality part of our chart, the black part, but there's a date before we're born, our design date. It's while we're still in utero, we're still in the womb, before we're born. And I can't remember, I think it's like 86 days, or I need to look that up, but there's a certain amount of time before our actual birthday. That's our design date, and it's the unconscious part of ourselves. And the unconscious part of our design is from the placement, the neutrinos that were pouring through these planetary alignments, during this exact window of time before our birth, and then our actual birth date, and then sort of how these two sides of ourselves work together and create, channels, and then opportunities for connection with others. We have the whole chart. We think that our chart is just the part that's colored in, like just the definition, but we're also the openness in our chart. And I call the open parts of my chart my empathy centers. These are the parts where I have a lot of wisdom because I experience and I amplify these energies in other people, and now I'm much more aware of that when it's happening. I have a completely open root. I have it's weird. I kind of got emotional talking about my open root, which is interesting. Let me look at the transits right now, because hold on. It's interesting that I got emotional. Foundation transit. So this is going to give me my chart, a composite of my chart. No, sorry, my chart with the current transit. So this is right now where the neutrinos are pouring in, which gates and which centers are defined according to the transit. So right now you can see that there is like an emotional channel. I need to look this up. 3635. 3635. Transitoriness. Interesting. Education channels. It's interesting. It's showing me, I have some emotional support to my throat right now, which I don't normally have. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna go back just to my foundation chart. Okay, maybe I'll stop this for right now, but that's interesting. My open root caused me to feel a bit emotional. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna come back to this. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm not sure quite what I'm saying other than 2012, 10 years ago. So I've been in this experiment for 10 years. They say it happens in 7-year cycles, that the first 7 years is really about the foundation. It's really getting a foundational understanding. And like sometimes just the more you look at your chart, you sort of absorb it energetically. You don't even have to like mentally understand it, but I feel like sometimes just looking at your chart opens things up in us energetically, subconsciously. We resonate with it, and there's some understanding that just unlocks and absorbs over time without even like consciously studying it, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm definitely rambling now. It's thundering. I might take a nap and come back to this. Okay, alright, more soon.